Gratitude, my friends, gratitude. Remain grateful, remain a part of the process. Never forget where you came from. Be who you are meant to be in this life, because nobody else can do it for you. You see, so many of us fall into the trap of being searching of happiness. We're searching for happiness, we're searching to be happy. I think this is a wrongly conditioned societal expectation. I think that this comes from a society of people that are taught to not be okay with failure. For those that are meant to avoid failure. You see, because when we avoid failure, we avoid being as best as we can. But so many of us are so scared of failure. We're so afraid of what everybody else will think of us. Whether it's parents or friends, family, someone you don't even know. We get so afraid of failure, we're so afraid of falling on our face in front of other people, that we never try to be as much as we could be. And then comes the understanding that I want to be happy. I want to be happy, right? I want to be happy, yet I'm not willing to fail. In my opinion, those two don't go hand in hand. Let me explain to you why. Jeez. Biggest reason, once again, is that we are natural survival systems in nature, right? We come from nature, as I've talked to you guys about last week. We come from nature. We are biological systems built on a planet, right? But we have a soul. We have a soul side of that we must appreciate as well, right? But appreciating the biological natures of a human means respecting the natural laws of nature and respecting the natural ways of being that we have ingrained into us over millions of years. Once again, after all, we are the exact same beings that built the pyramids, that built skyscrapers, all the different great things that have been created out in time. I mean, we are the same individuals as that, right? On the same note, we are the same individuals that brought the Holocaust about, that were perpetrators in that very extremely ugly part of history. We're the same humans as that. We're not different animals than that. My point in saying all of this is that we are infinitely different as humans. But we have certain systems we must respect. So when it comes to happiness and failure, we can't expect to find... It is very futile, in my opinion, to search for happiness when we're not willing to face failure. Right? When we don't face failure, how can we expect to grow? How can we expect to progress? True happiness, true motivation, true fulfillment comes from progress. Again, building a pyramid, it's taking years upon years upon years. Who knows how long it took? You're working with hand tools and whatever else before you get into the whole, alien and whatever else side of it. If you're just thinking like these guys built it with their hands and basic tools and whatever else they could come up with, think about the motivation required to keep going. Think about what that does to a human to have to endure that much pain. Like, we're not talking about you have rights. No. Like, you're a slave, essentially, and you are working yourself to death. And everybody else is too. That's the norm. The soul isn't there. People on top are in control. If you act out, you die. Sad reality. But my point is that to not be absolutely miserable and die from anything, right? Die from miserability, die from stress, chronic stress being built up over and over again, all these different things. We had to adapt. We can assume that we had to adapt to that, to the point where we had to be okay with pain. We had to find motivation in the small points of progress in that pain to make a difference, to continue down the path. And this is with anything, right? Not just the pyramids in particular. Think about cavemen. You think a caveman who had to build a fire in the middle of the night for his family in the freezing rain or whatever terrible environment. There's tigers at the door. There's all these different things trying to harm him and his family, and many of them did die. Right? I'm not laughing. I'm laughing because think about it. Most of those people, that's how we adapted. The process of adaptation is a species dying over and over and over again until they learn to do something different. And that being passed down through the lineage, through the talk of it. Why? Because other people died from not doing it. Imagine and you might have experienced this in your life before. Someone dies, God forbid, or is hurt relatively bad, and it's because of doing something that's normal, that's casual to you in your normal everyday life. If you hear about this from someone one-on-one, or that person is very important to you, you'd probably change your way of being. You'd probably change doing something despite how regular it might have been. Let's say your father's a smoker, and this is back 20, 30, 40 years ago, before they knew all the extreme negativities, however long ago that was, of smoking. Well, let's say you're not super closed-minded, you're not entirely attached to the smoking habit, and then your father gets lung cancer and dies at 40 because he's a smoker, and you were a smoker too because of that. Well, probably be a lot easier to give up and quit that smoking habit right then. Of course, you could just avoid it. But my point is that when something drastic happens to someone around you, and it causes great harm or damage to them, you stop doing it. Or at least you're more likely to stop doing it. So my point there is that adaptation, right? We pass down these different ways of being, these different understandings through time. We understood that, hey, if we keep building this thing, we keep building this pyramid, eventually it's going to be done. And yeah, there'll be another task after that, but at least we'll be done with that. Maybe we'll get to eat. Maybe we'll get some sort of reward. Even just, I'm not going to get beaten. I'm not going to get whipped because I helped build this pyramid. I helped make progress today. That's still a reward. That's still a survival tactic. So my entire point is that happiness is not a worthy goal of achievement, like of finding, of always striving for. Fulfillment. Fulfillment is what you should search for and find and have. Fulfillment is what you should spend your life searching for, not happiness. Fulfillment will force you to fail. Fulfillment will force you to fall on your face and make mistakes that you have to learn from so you can make progress. And making those mistakes and learning from them is progress. But if you're always trying to be happy but you're not trying to expand yourself, that happiness is always fleeting. That happiness is always fleeting when you're not willing to fail, when you're not willing to fail for more of it, when you're not willing to fail to make progress. So do yourself a favor, break this mindset of searching for happiness. Be grateful. Be grateful. Find the euphoria, find the bliss, find the greatness in gratitude. But be willing to fail to find fulfillment. Be willing to fail to be different than what you were yesterday. Be willing to upset people. Be willing to step on toes. Be willing to go against the standard of others that aren't really where you want to be. Love your life. Be grateful. Do something different. Find fulfillment. You got this, guys.